And happy good day edition. Morning to all yous, Steeler Nation, and welcome to this edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast as we are on this game day preview of the Steelers versus Browns going into today's week number 6 matchup. Steelers are off to the best start in their franchise history since 1978 and looking to pick up their fifth win of the season, looking to keep pace, of course, with the Ravens and the Browns in the AFC North. Still a lot more work to be done here. But I tell you what, this is definitely a good start so far for right now. Uh, Steelers right now, I mean, this division is pretty much wide open as we speak. And the Steelers will get their first crack at the AFC North, while the Browns right now, who are 1-1 as far as the AFC North record goes, and a lot more into it today. Plus, we also get to see the infamous return of Myles Garrett uh, returning to the Steelers, this time in Heinz Field. That should definitely be an intriguing matchup for this turnaround. Remember what happened last time versus Steelers versus Browns right now. As we look at it right now, I mean, head to head wise, I mean, both are doing well as far as their common games are played. Steelers are 3-0 in common games played, as both teams are definitely going to be facing the AFC South and the NFC East this year, as well as each other. Steelers are 3-0 in that department, while the Browns are 4-1 currently as we speak. And like I said, I think right now this is definitely going to answer a lot of questions about the Steelers season, really put them to a test in my mind. Uh, Definitely a totally different transformed Browns team, in my opinion, under Coach Stefanski, Kevin Stefanski here, as we look at it. And really, right now, I mean, the Steelers just trying to maintain this momentum right now. I mean, we already heard how they continue to get reminded how the last time they started off like this, what ended up happening? They ended up winning the Super Bowl. And that's where we just got to be a little bit more careful. I mean, the bottom line is you want to be able to make sure you find a way to take care of your games at hand and your opponents right now. And I think the Steelers versus Browns is definitely a reheated rivalry. We'll see how it pairs this year. But I mean, last year the Steelers did go 1-1 with the Browns, and when you look at them overall, all-time head-to-head matchups, especially with Myles Garrett in that regards, I mean, for right now, I want to say right now the Steelers are 3-1-1, only having one loss to him, and that was solely last year on that infamous Thursday night football. Definitely an embarrassing night for a lot of people to forget about, including myself, just watching it and just how the game was and how they got dominated on all fronts. You start to really wonder, think, will Ben Roethlisberger be the difference to the game this time? Having a healthier Ben Roethlisberger be able to quarterback things with the communication of the offensive line, as far as getting blocks open for the running backs. I mean, continue to involve like a guy like Chase Claypool right now, see if he continues to have a hot start. And you look at him last year getting AFC uh, Offensive Player of the Week honors last week, and you really start to wonder how much is he going to be focused in on for today's game. How much are they going to try and limit this guy on the field as far as this matchup? So you better believe right now, because right now you got like Myles Garrett, who's leading his team in sacks. I think I want to say was 6.5, about that number, and really a guy who a lot of people could definitely attest right now watching this guy. This guy is definitely a specimen and could definitely be a game changer. I mean, if you ask me, and this one guy you want to be very wary of and watchful for in this matchup, as Steelers look to pick up their fifth victory of the season, looking to keep pace. And then not only that, too, I mean, the Steelers would be looking to add to their AFC record to pick up their third victory of the season. As everyone remembers, they faced two AFC opponents this year, as well as two NFC opponents right down the middle. Would have been a third one if they would have had that match against the Titans, but that's neither here nor there. Again, if you guys want to follow me on social media, you can definitely follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Mass Steel Podcast on Twitter, it is simply at Mass Steel CJR, on Instagram at Men of Steel Nation, and then so forth right there. Then you also do a show on Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. That is called On Deck. You guys could definitely feel free to tune in and check me out on Saturdays with my co-host Reese Ruler and my one co-host predicting a Browns upset in this contest. And to be quite frank with you, for today's game, that could be very well possible. I mean, the mindset that a guy like Coach Stephen Stefanski has brought to this team. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, right now, I mean, you look at a guy like Kevin Stefanski right now, who's named the 18th full-time head coach in Browns history back in January 13th, 2020, right around the time when the Vikings were eliminated to the 49ers. But he spent 14 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings, removed of the coaching ladder from assistant to head coach to offensive coordinator. And he's been with the Vikings since 2006. And you got to better believe right now, like what he's doing and packing a punch as far as with this Browns team. He's definitely helping taking that offense to the next level. I mean, you figure a guy like with Kevin Stefanski, I mean, like how he's going to be able to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, just able to do something with Kirk Cousins, now take on the role with Baker Mayfield right now, who a lot of people are still hesitating on. I mean, you look at the Minnesota Vikings offense last year when he was with them for everything that they were able to do. They were eighth in points scored on offense, and right there. And one of the biggest things too, I mean, they were good in rushing, six in rushing yardage and six in rushing touchdowns. So this guy knows how to help get a lot of things done. And then when you look at the biggest thing too, I mean, as far as their red zone offense, with a guy like Kevin Stefanski, I mean, he was coming in here with his first year with the Browns, his first crack at the helm right now. Look what he's been able to do back in 2019. And in 2019 with the Minnesota Vikings, he got them 10th in red zone scoring. And then as far as this year, as far as where it goes with the Browns in that regard, you got the Browns who are fifth in that area. So he brings a lot of those things to be aware of right there. The rushing, obviously, no doubt he's inheriting right there with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but also the red zone scoring opportunities right now. The Steelers are 20th in that regard, having going 9 for 15 at 60%. They scored 60% of the time in the red zone. That is ranked 20th, while the Browns are ranked fifth in that regard. And that's the only thing I would be like a little weary of right there. How much these guys are willing to like punch those touchdowns in for today's game. And that's where I really look at it and just want to be a little bit more aware going into this matchup. I think this is could definitely be a shootout if you ask me the way this game goes. Because the only concerns about that, and we just found out the inactives right now. The inactives for today's game right now, we only got the Steelers so far, and so far that is going to be their starter David DeCastro. He's going to be out. Remember David DeCastro, who earlier in the week he had a abs injury. He did not practice all week, so he was definitely ruled out for today's game. No surprise. You also got all your backups, Josh Dobbs, and then of course your other starter too, Deontay Johnson. He's out. Remember Deontay Johnson? He was just recently dealing with a back injury. Then you got Ulysses Gilbert, Carlos Davis, and Zach Gentry. So again, the names that are going to be on here that the Steelers will be without today is quarterback Josh Dobbs, wide receiver, starting wide receiver Deontay Johnson with a back issue. Then you got inside linebacker Ulysses Gilbert, right guard David DeCastro, defensive tackle / defensive end Carlos Davis, and of course Zach Gentry. So those are the guys the Steelers will be going out. The Browns is still to be determined. Right here, I did not get a chance to see that going into this podcast. I'll tweet out more than anything at the end of the show when we wrap up over here. But again, if you guys want, feel free to leave me your comments. What are you guys doing for the game day? Where are you watching? What Steeler bar are you watching from? Or are you hooking up with your friends? Please tell me. I would definitely like to hear from you as far as what are your plans for today's game. Now, the good news going into today's matchup versus the Browns, when we look at it too, I mean, the Steelers and the Browns right now, I mean, when we look at everything that has been going on, that has been transpiring, I mean, they've been playing right now in Heinz Field since 2002. And the last loss, the only loss that came in Heinz Field was back. It was back on October 5th, 2003. And right now, we'll get to that one in just a second here, but that was definitely an ugly day to remember right there. And like I said, I think the Steelers right now, when we truly put this team under a scope and what they're trying to do right now at this point, I think for the most part, you have to be a little bit more wary of Myles Garrett. I mean, he could definitely be a game changer in this regard for today's game. Someone you want to definitely be very leery of here because this is a guy who's still bare taste in his mouth. Say what you want about calling the racial slur or whatever they came up with weeks later. I mean, this is a guy who definitely feels like he served his time doing what he had to do from the NFL. When he served his punishment, the suspension has been served. He is now going to be making his return back to play the Steelers, and we'll see what kind of difference it makes in this contest. I gotta say, uh, buyer beware, as you would say in this contest right now. And I think he is the one guy to be paying attention to, as is Kareem Hunt right now. When we take a look at it, and speaking of Kareem Hunt, the times he's gotten to play against the Steelers, I mean, all his career. I mean, when you look at his overall game logs, and I think the last time the Steelers had played Kareem Hunt in his career, one as far as starting for the club, he's been 1-1 as a starter, but yeah, he's pretty much 1-1 all time against the Steelers right now. When they played with him, when they played against him one time as the Chiefs and two times as a Brown, and he was able with his time with the Browns, he got at least a no starts against them. This will be his first start against the Steelers, one being on the Browns squad. So we'll see how this matchup is going to go for right now. Uh, right now, the only thing is, too, I mean, when you look at this season, too, which has been a very oddball season right now, everything going on with COVID 19. For right now, I mean, it has definitely been a whirlwind of a season, to say the least, when you look at this season right here. I mean, trying to get teams to keep going. Uh, it's been very bizarre. But let's go ahead and get some other news around the Steelers right now. Missy Matthews, Steelers reporter, noted that the Steelers have elevated wide receiver Deion Kane for the practice squad to the active and inactive roster for Sunday's games against the Cleveland Browns, due to the fact with Deontay Johnson being ruled out with a back injury. She also does mention too, real quickly, with at least 3 sacks and interception today against the Browns, the Steelers will join the 1985 New York Giants as the only teams in NFL history to record at least 3 sacks and interception in each of their first 5 games of the season. We all remember what happened that year. They lost in the second round, the divisional round at Soldier Field to the Bears, but later on, they were able to captivate it with the Super Bowl, actually 2 Super Bowls under the Bill Parcells, Lawrence Taylor, and Phil Simms area. When you think about it, you had at least 2 Super Bowls within a span of 5 years. I mean, at the end of the day here. And speaking of the Steelers' practice squad right now, when we look at this game going into it today, for right now, the Steelers, they got 15 guys on the practice squad here. Don't forget Daniel McCullers, who's one of the guys who got released at the end of training camp, not so much preseason, but cut day officially. Remember, they were adding back on temporarily back in the practice squad, but he eventually terminated his contract. That was about over a month ago on here. It's still interesting to note, too. He still got a guy like Devin Hodges still hanging around right now. And you look at the Steelers' offense, who still find a way to carry four quarterbacks this season, with, of course, Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph, and Josh Dobbs. I think the interesting thing, too, is going to be in this game is going to be the run game. Who could get the if the Steelers could find a way to get their running game fluently going, that will be a big key right there. Speaking of which, too, Missy Matthews also credits that the Steelers are the only team in the NFL with four players to at least have 3 sacks or more. Of course, you got big dog TJ Watt leading the pack in that area with 4.5, followed by Stephon Tuitt with 3.5, and Bud Dupree and Mike Hilton with 3 apiece right here, which will explain a lot more why the Steelers are blitzing so heavy this year. And that's another thing right there where I get a little concerned with, and which is going to lead me to my keys to the game here in just a moment, because I really do believe right now the Steelers for this year, blitz percentage, they have sent 83 blitzes right now, and they are leading the blitz percentage with about close to 49%. And a lot of that, too, is involving their secondary, too. Bob Labriola mentioned that to Tunch Wolf on Inside the Locker Room earlier in the week. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, that is something right there, especially when it's coming to on the third down right there. I think they just need to do a better job cleaning it up, mixing it up. I just feel for right now, what ends up happening is where they are getting burned quite a few times. Listen, I mean, this is the fastest pace the Steelers sack department has had through 4 games. They have 20, which is the all-time most in franchise history by unit starting off this season. And you have 2 more in that category too, which I tweeted out back on early Friday morning when we look at it. I mean, as far as like the Steelers defensive stats right now, when we look at as far as like sacks for first 4 games, within the top 10, you have 2 of the Steelers teams who won Super Bowls under Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, 2008 and 2005, each with 15 apiece through 4 games. This is the most. The second one that comes on that list is the 1983 Steelers, which finished up with 19. You had the 1954 and 1963 Steelers with 16 apiece through 4 games. Then after 2000, then after that, you got 2008 with 15, 1982 with 15, and 15 in 2017 as well as 2005. And then the last 2 after 2005, you got 1985 and 2019, each with 14 apiece. And my point is, needless to say, is that they're getting burned a lot of these blitzing, like first down conversions. I feel like you do need to do a better job, like keeping that under control. I think you don't want to look like you're coming too savvy on this. I think you want to be able to maintain some sort of balance here, because the thing is, I still call a little bit of suspect as like how they're starting. I like the defense, but at the same time, too, this is not the same defense who's like really doing their best job as far as like really wowing people, as far as like being as far as like being in like takeaways for this season. I mean, Steelers versus Browns, I mean, going into this year, I mean, when we look at the defense for right now, Steelers right now are 11th takeaways with 7, which includes 6 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. You also got the Browns, who right now are number one in takeaways right now. This is a takeaway group. So it's going to lead me to my keys to the game for today's matchup. Let's go ahead and get into key number one. Oh, real quick before we get a little further into that, according to the Browns beat reporter Odell Beckham Jr.'s second test came back negative. He is clear to face the Steelers today, so the Steelers will see Odell Beckham Jr. I think he was sick the past few days. Then we also got the Browns. They will be without starters, two of them so far. Strong safety Carl Joseph, who has a hamstring, and right guard Wyatt Taylor. Wyatt Teller with a calf. And let's go ahead and get to the keys to the game for today's contest. Key number one, I'm gonna go with winning the turnover battle. In the games that the Steelers, 3 out of the 4 games that the Steelers have won the turnover battle this season. One was against the Giants, the Texans, and the Eagles. They were +3 in those turnover ratios. They're a perfect 3-0 in that area. When you look at the Browns being number one in turnovers right here for this game, and then when you also look at it too, you flip it. Like I said, the Steelers are 11th with 7 takeaways. But at the same time, too, on the offensive side of the ball, as far as turnovers, they got 4, which is ranked 28th. So that's a real good sign right there. So you're giving up not so many turnovers. So you're doing a good job as far as like not turning it over. So that's going to be key number 1 right there. Key number 2 in today's game, sack Baker Mayfield at least 3 times. Baker Mayfield's career, when he gets sacked at least 3 or more times in his career, he has a lifetime 2-8. That'll be a big thing to watch out for right there, because you gotta believe Myles Garrett, he's gonna find a way to be a game changer in this game some way, somehow. And that's going to lead me to Myles Garrett right now. Limit the mileage on Garrett by having Filer and Villanueva stepping up big. Because right now, I mean, when we look at this season, as far as with everything that has been going on, I mean, you look at a guy like Myles Garrett right now, he is like second behind Aaron Donald right now with sacks at 6. Aaron Donald has 7.5 on the season. And then he is also third in quarterback hits. And he's behind TJ Watt and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's number 1 with 13, as well as TJ Watt. So those would be like some key matches I would have to say for this contest. And I would really believe right now those would be things right there. Right there, I would definitely like to pay attention to. And I will just you gotta like win the last scrimmage, basically is what I'm trying to say. And I think that could be a very big key as far as like how they will be able to try to maintain a good start, a hot 5-0 start. And the thing is too, you want to take care of like bullet point wins, which they have been doing so far. They've been doing good in their common games battles, which they are 3-0 in that department. But like I said, it feels just as good when you're within your own division right now for this game. I got David Kano coming in for today, asking me what my score pick is for today's game. I am going to go with the Steelers edging it out, just simply because they're at home right now. And when we look at this contest going right now, I expect it to be a shootout. iShark got the over-under at 51. So I'm going to go ahead and go Steelers. Well, give me 27. Give me 27-23 Steelers. I would say that score. 27-23. I think it would be about 50 points right there. Because remember, I think Mayfield's going to have a difficult time trying to start off this game right now when we look at it. And when he's trying to get going here. Because when you also look, though, too, on the Cleveland Browns, like who is their backup right now going into this game? Behind Baker Mayfield, he got Case Keenum. And Case Keenum is another guy, too, who seemed to kind of slip off a little bit of the way in his career. But if he's able to come into this game for some reason, if Mayfield is out, I mean, the good thing is about a guy like Case Keenum. He's a pretty good job as far as being a game manager. He's got 75 touchdowns, a 47 interception touchdown ratio here. I mean, when we take a look at him, and that's about barely under two, not that bad, but still got to get some work. But that's the only thing with the Steelers right now. I mean, we look at last week's game versus the Eagles. You had at least at one point uh, where you're up by like what 17, 18 points, I think it was. He almost coughed up that game right there, and that was really in that period right there. You let the Eagles slowly back into that game. Pretty much came down to like a missed field goal for about 67 yards by their kicker, which I didn't think it was a wise idea by the head coach, Doug Pearson. But at the end of the day, too, I just he almost coughed up that game right there. I mean, the Steelers, they did get some breaks. They were able to settle down. You had some key sacks late in that game, and they were able to find a way to just hang tight and do what Steelers football does. I mean, with or without Renegade in the stadium, but I do feel like the Steelers team for right now got a lot of things rolling in their momentum. We shall see how this continues to move along here, but I'm liking their chances right now. If this was in Cleveland, you'd probably be looking at loss, to be honest, yeah. But I mean, with the injuries too, I mean, you look at the odds, like how many guys. I mean, the inactives for today's game. When we look at the Steelers uh, versus the Browns going into these contests here, I mean, you only got like two of your guys who will not be available for today's game, while the Browns, we have no idea right now who that's going to be. I mean, I believe that's still yet to be determined. I'm going to try and reload it right now so you can find out some new information. So the Browns inactives for today, right now, as we look at this. So just bear with me as I try and pull up with this right now. And here's who the Browns will be without today. They will definitely be without for right now. Their backup strong safety, Ronnie Harrison, followed by strong safety, Carl Joseph. He's out with a hamstring. Harrison, who was in concussion protocol. They will also be without linebacker here in this game. Their Sam linebacker, Jason Phillips, he had a knee injury. He did not practice all week. And then you also got guard right now for the Browns in this game. Right guard Wyatt Teller, he did not practice all week. He is out for today's game. Then you also got defensive end Joe Jackson. He is out. He was not listed on the injury report this past week for the Browns. And last but not least, defensive end Vincent Taylor right now for the Browns. So pretty much when we look at this game right now for this contest here, as far as everything goes, with Steelers, with Browns, in this regard, you're going to be at least without two starters, which be Carl Joseph and, of course, guard Wyatt Teller in this contest. So that was my keys of the game. Those are the inactives for today. Kickoff will be set in less than 30 minutes. And let's see if the Steelers can be able to find a way. I mean, right now. And plus, the biggest thing I like about this, too, guess what? It's that favorite time of season right now. It is Hottober, not October, Hottober. And by the way, in that regard, with Mike Tomlin since coaching the Steelers all time overall in the month of October, he is 36-14-0 with a 720 win percent, with a point differential of plus 303. So 36-14-0 for Mike Tomlin, all-time coach of the Steelers in the month of October. Let's get this win today, and we'll find out. And then later on, I'll be doing my post-game show about we'll keep that here about 6:30 p.m. So tune in at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Mass Deal Podcast post game show. Once again, I just want to thank you for those of you tuning in. You guys could once again follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Mass Deal Podcast on Twitter, it is at Mass Deal CTR and at Mass Deal Nation on Instagram. As I always leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.